GM. GM. Today is Monday, the 20... No, fucking... Because I was traveling yesterday, felt like a Sunday. Today is Tuesday, 23rd of Jan. Let's do daily levels. This is actually the last point where it can bounce for me. Range 1, 39 to 49. We are still in that. The 39 to 40 no-go zone is... You don't want to see price trading in here, right? As in spending time at this level, because then it'll probably just drift lower. Bouncing off this POC from 2021, which if you watch a few videos back, I showed it. I think I showed it on a weekly outlook. Check out weekly outlook. I'll talk about this level. It was all of the 2021 upper range. The point of control, so where the most volume was traded, was at around 39k. So I'm expecting a bounce. I did go long. I went long too soon on that 40k long, 40 to 40.2. Closed it. I mean, I could keep holding it, but my invalidation was around that 39, or not seeing a green Tuesday. I still expect a green day today, right? But it hit my 39k invalidation first, so I closed it. If I see anything on the low time frames, I'll absolutely get long again. But this video is meant to be a reminder. So, a few things. One, this is where you're supposed to be buying, right? First thing, as it was going up, you didn't know how to get in and wanted to get in and said you'd get in on a dip and a pullback and a correction, and you set your targets for 38, 39k. This is it. This is where you're supposed to buy your spot bags, right? Just a reminder, because I know certainly I've been guilty in the past of revising it. Oh, yeah, it looks like shit. I'm going to buy 35. I'm going to buy 33. I'm going to buy 30. That's what everyone's going to do. That's not what you do. Stick to your plan. We're now down 20% off the highs. It's our biggest correction so far. It is just a correction. It is not a bear market, in my opinion. And if it's a correction, your job is to buy them in a bull market. So I'm buying today. I'm buying ETH, Sol, and Akash. The reason I'm not buying Bitcoin is because I already have Bitcoin and I think ETH does better in the first 6 months of the year. So you see here, ETH BTC having a pullback, but nothing that would be of concern. Also, and then if you just look at ETH on the USD chart, right back to here. So, remember when I put this up a few days back saying this is not a good place to buy? This was on the 11th of January. The reason I put this up is I think you guys should, from time to time, should scroll back through Trading Chat, go to the 11th of January, and look at the comments. Look at how people were talking. Everyone was super excited, super happy. Understandably, bags are pumping. Your portfolio's at new highs, right? And so I made a post in Trading Analysis saying this is not a good place to buy. Don't buy here. I said this is strong support and a higher low in here. And I said buy the next higher low. When it comes, you won't feel like buying. That's why you should. That is literally today. Everything about that is today. I bet you don't feel like buying. It's followed the path down almost exactly. So where else are you going to buy? Like a lot of people, I'll buy at 2k, I'll buy at 1800, I'll buy when it fills the gap at 1600. But ETH has broken out of an 18-month range in an uptrend and has had a pump that has just fully retraced. So we filled that inefficiency. We're back into rock solid support, the old breakout level. It can go lower. But if you're talking about loading up spot bags and buying the dip, this is where you do it. So I've bought more Ethereum just before it started. I'm also going to buy some Solana. I'm also going to buy some Akash. The first time I've bought AKT since 55 cents, because this is the difference between trading and investing or holding spot bags, right? when it comes to trading, I'm not saying there's a bottom right here, right now. But what you're supposed to do as an investor is buy a correction in an uptrend, right? So you don't buy into all this hype. But when it's an uptrend, you want to literally buy as it's going down and looking like shit and it's red and bloody, but it's still above the previous low. So when it's coming into a higher low in an uptrend, you want to be buying in these areas. And then you want to also understand that it might go lower. I might have to sit on it for 3 or 6 months. But eventually, whenever it starts to go ripping higher and everyone's euphoric again, I will have bought at 2200, not 2800. I will have bought at 38, 39k, not 49k. Like Solana, I will have bought Solana then at 80, not 124. It's really simple. Most people will still just fuck it up. And there's only one thing. I'm just going to repeat this. All my videos have said this for the past several, probably weeks now. I've been talking about this exact scenario playing out where it gets boring and messy and choppy and the volatility dies and the market becomes not up only anymore. It's your patience that's going to get tested, right? Your patience will get tested the most. And Solana's now down 37%. Probably can go down a bit more. I wouldn't expect it to go much lower than this block of demand here, which when you go back over to, if you're looking at previous levels that were respected, price came up into this area here, stopped around there with the daily closes. Also, it was the bottom when we came back down in March. So that's a pretty solid resistance, then a support. And now we head back towards it. We're touching off it now. So that's the most likely place, I would say, for price to form a new support. But it could go below it, back above it. It could bounce off it here and have to reconfirm it. None of this is calling for massive up-only moves. Right? That's the thing people are going to miss as well. It doesn't mean that everything has to moon from here. In fact, it's probably not going to moon from here because what's most likely to happen, even if it's bullish, is something like this. Right? So it's not up only. But you're buying into the fear in a uptrend. This is the important part. In an uptrend, which this clearly is, you want to buy a correction when you don't feel like buying. Same goes for ETH, same goes for BTC. Right, in an uptrend. So our low is down there. We've had a move up. You want to buy when you don't feel like buying because the targets are all higher. What's the alternative? The alternative is that it's all over, I guess, and that there is no bull market. It was all a scam, and we fell for it. Cool, I'll take those odds. Because that's what people are already starting to say. Like, I'm already seeing this on Twitter. I know some of the posts are kind of semi-ironic, but people are thinking it. Posts like, what if I have to get a real job again? And all this kind of stuff. That's your sentiment gauge. And it's a good point as well. You can tell who didn't actually buy during the bear market by how they're posting. If you were here through 2022, 2023... we were buying all the way. Buying Bitcoin low, buying a cash at 55 cents. And it gives you that luxury, right? So, AKT is the other one. And when I say I'm buying these today, buying some spot, right? Buying some spot bags. And not with all my money. If you remember from my 2024 plan, that video, was to put no new money into the market from January the 1st onwards, keep all my trading profits in dollars, and any new income I get from outside the market, keep it in stables, ready to buy these kind of dips. Right, so that's been my plan this year so far. So I'm going to start putting some of that into the market now. So I've seen enough pain for me to start buying. It's not enough for me to say that the bottom's in, but that's not the point. You're going to look back at all this, right? This is how I view it. Not saying I'm right, but this is my view, and this is my frame of reference for the next year. We're going to look back at all this in a year's time and laugh at how inconsequential this dip was. Now, it can be messy and choppy, and it can take time. And I am ready, by the way, I am ready for prices to make no new highs for 6 months. I'm ready for that. I don't expect that to happen. I expect it'll be sooner than that. But I'm ready for this. Right? Which might not look like much here. Let's say it even goes lower. When you go onto a daily, that's 6 months. So everything that we've seen here, all this nice move, I'm ready for all this shit to happen before we get a new high. So you have to be ready for that too. Doesn't mean it's going to come. But everyone's good at drawing out their bullish paths. And so I'm buying some more AKT here because it's that daily support. And the last time it was here, it produced a strong, very strong rally and reaction to break out over the $3 level. I expect that to hold. Even if it just bounces like this, maybe even goes lower, I don't know. But I expect that to hold. But everyone can plan for these eventualities, right? Everyone has that plan in their mind. But you have to have plans for it all. What if it just goes straight down? Fills the whole gap in. Lengthy reaccumulation. Low volatility. And then away it goes. Ready for all of them. Because I'm not putting all my stables in. I'm buying some. Probably like, if you've got like 10 grand, right? If I had 10 grand to spare, I'm probably putting 2.5 in today. 25%. Right? So, and then that'll be split between ETH, Solana, and AKT. Why? ETH at daily and weekly support, and ETH BTC is still bullish. So I think ETH outperforms Bitcoin for the next 6 months. Solana, this is the coin everyone wanted to buy at 120, 130. And so I'm going to buy it at 80 because I know they'll want to buy it off me at 150. Solana's the easiest trade. If you have patience, Solana's the easiest trade in the whole market. The reason Solana will go back up is because people are desperate to buy it. Everybody was tripping over themselves. They fucking love Solana when it's green. They hate it when it's red. Again, not saying it goes straight up from here. I am saying that Solana going to 160 is as close to a fucking nailed on thing as I've seen. Because most people think it's going to go to 1,000, 750, 500, 300. But as a trader, I think, well, what if the worst, in my opinion, the worst case scenario is it gets more pain, sideways, chop, shit, right? Then we get to move up. It goes to there. Everyone gets excited about Solana. They all ape in. And that was it. It's all over. Sorry. No bull market. Cancelled. When you zoom out, this is like worst case scenario for people. Right? This would be a terrible, terrible, terrible outcome. That would be Solana running up to this nice pocket of liquidity up here. Grabbing that. There's nothing I'm more confident in than that. Than Solana actually going there. Because that would be like the worst bear market or worst bull market we've ever had. If that was the top. But even in the worst bull market, the top isn't here. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? The smart money, the insiders, the VCs, they all know. People will be dying to buy Solana at 140, 150, 160. That's why it'll go there eventually. And because it'll go there eventually, that's why these people are thinking, like the way I'm thinking, I should buy some. I should buy some Solana here. Because to me, it's a very low risk, low downside. Because it's not like you're buying some super speculative volatile shitcoin. You're buying like the fourth biggest coin. And you're buying the coin with the strong community and launching all the projects that go multi-billion dollars and all the hype and hysteria surrounding it, right? All of that, why is that suddenly not true? It was all true 3 weeks ago. Why is everyone now panicking? Because red candles. Red candles will always fuck up people who don't have any patience. Simple as. But I see Solana like this. Big players need liquidity, right? So there's certain coins, even like AKT. If you've got billions, you're trying to fill 10-figure, 9-figure, 8-figure positions. It's not really easy to get a lot of cash. It's not on Binance yet. It's not widely distributed. You can fill a 7-figure position, takes time. You can fill a 6-figure position quite easily. But a cash only trades 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million a day. Solana trades $1 billion a day. And it has perps where it trades triple or 4 times that. So you also have to remember how the big players have to approach this market. Solana is one that they can buy because it's big. And so the way I view it is, how they're looking at it is, I can buy almost as much Solana as I want at 80 or 75 or 70. And at some point this year, I'm probably going to be able to dump it at 160 if I want to, which is a 2x. It's doubling my money. And that's like, again, worst case scenario, right? Best case scenario is you bought the bottom and it goes to 250, 500, 750, all these crazy targets that just over here, and in the week after when the podcast got released, everyone in their 2024 previews and their predictions, they were all just, Solana's the best thing ever. Solana's going to have the biggest and the best apps. Solana is this, Solana is that. Solana is the greatest thing that's ever existed. Cool. All that's gone now. No one's talking about it. So now I'm interested to buy. Like a lot of this with spot buying is just that. This is different to trading, right? You have to just trade the chart. And by trading the chart, if you're talking about like trying to buy the bottom, sell the top, whatever, you shouldn't really be trying to do that, like picking the bottom or picking the top. You should trade in probabilistic areas, saying that this is where a bottom should form, and then using your price action to take that trade. But buying spot, you can totally just do it whenever it feels shit. Like this is the difference, right? You know, especially if you're in boot camp, you'll have heard a lot. Don't be discretionary. Don't be subjective. Right? Don't buy based on your opinions or your feelings, or sell. That's all true for trading, right? But if you've got cash and your base case is we're in a bull market, so you think things go higher in future, then when do you want to buy? You don't have to wait for a double bottom or moving averages or anything like that. That's trading. They're trading tools. The best time to buy in a bull market is when you don't want to buy. If you still think it's a bull market, number one, and you feel like you don't want to buy it, that's the time to buy. It always has been, it always will be. Now, because you're not using moving averages, you're not using anything, basic support and resistance is all you need. One support resistance line is going to outperform 90% of traders. I guarantee it. Not saying this is guaranteed to be the bottom, but the simple always works best. Because what you do have to be able to do and ready to do is sit through days, weeks, months of boring, sideways, choppy action. Again, that's also normal. Right? There's a difference of like where a bottom forms and you use your trading techniques to say like there's a low, there's a high, here's a higher low, here's break, market structure break here. There's a retest. There's a trend line breakout. There's an impulse candle. I'm going to buy here. And you end up buying over there. And you haven't caught the bottom, right? It's about 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later. But you have caught a point at which it doesn't pull back, and away it goes. That's trading. That's timing. You want to stay in the position as little as possible. You want to be in, and it basically just goes up. But investing, or buying spot, or whatever, is totally different. Right? You have to be happy to buy here because FTX collapsed. And buy here because sentiment is toxic. And buy here because there was a leverage shakeout. Or whatever. But in all of this is November, right? We didn't really break. It was a year. It was a year after FTX. Like, people who bought the FTX blood got entries that will never be seen again. Right? They got $12, $11, $8, $9, $10. Levels that will not be revisited again until Solana dies, goes to zero. But the caveat of that is you get these generational entries, but you have to hold for 11 months before it starts to move. So there's always a trade-off. And I think that's the most important thing I'll say on this video, because I'm buying, but buying and calling a bottom are not the same thing. I'm buying because it's an uptrend. This is a correction. You're supposed to buy corrections in an uptrend. You said you'd buy it when it was going up. Right, I'm going to keep repeating that, because that was like probably one of the mistakes I made the most in my first bull. Because I came in the bear, and then there was the first big bullish trend. I didn't want to buy. I wanted to revise my targets. And so you have to learn, don't revise your targets. When it goes down, you're always going to think that it'll go lower. But that's just as illogical as thinking when it goes up, well, this can only go higher. The same reason we say, like, don't buy into the uptrend. So when students asked me over the past 6 or 8 weeks, should I buy here? I just kept saying no. I said, wait for a dip. And then they say, what is a dip? I said, when you don't feel like buying. When Bitcoin's down 20%, this is my exact words, when Bitcoin's down 20% and everything else is down more than that, that's probably the time to buy. That is here. This is today. Bitcoin's finally gone down 20%. Will Bitcoin go down 30%? Probably. I guess so. That's what everyone seems to be saying, because they're looking at past bull markets and say, oh, Bitcoin goes down 30% in a bull market. Cool. Maybe it will. But it's also done a lot of things different this time than what it did before. So do I need Bitcoin to go down to 34 just to fulfill this magical touching of 30%? I don't need that to happen to start buying altcoins spot. If that happens, great. Even better entries. Excellent. Couldn't be happier. But doesn't need to happen. And at this 39, if we get like a weekly close below 40, I do think we drift towards 35, that pivot level. So I think I have it drawn over here. Yeah. Like a few daily closes, a weekly close, anything, I would say, like, if we haven't reclaimed 40k by the end of this week, you would consider that range lost. And probably, as soon as we lose 39, and 39 won't be as strong. Like 40k was really strong support. I wouldn't expect 39 to be strong. It either holds now, the next few days and goes up, or it just, next time it breaks, it's just broken. And then we sort of chop like this. And then we sort of just drift towards 35. Because to me, that's the next big strong support. But we've been down only. Every single day of ETFs has been selling. It's down, it's down, it's down. That's way overplayed now, by the way. People are talking about grayscale. Grayscale are not causing this decline. Get that into your head. That narrative is so played out. The Bitcoin markets trade billions and billions and billions of dollars every day. The grayscale selling yesterday was something like less than 100 million. Less than 100 million of outflows from GBTC yesterday. That does not affect a multi-billion-dollar market. It doesn't. There's other people selling, believe it or not. And there's not that many people buying. There's an absence of demand at these levels, and there's a surplus of supply. Which again, nothing wrong with that. Not bad, it's not illegal. People are allowed to sell, they're allowed to not buy. So I think it just needs to find itself a bit of a footing, find a floor. And then that's when you start to trade, right? When Bitcoin is finding a bottom, when it's starting to find a floor, which doesn't happen in one day, right? It's going to happen where it bottoms out, it has a strong bounce, that bounce retraces, it maybe double bottoms or does an FTR or sweep, whatever, and then finds some kind of flat level. At that point, longs, trades on altcoins, I'll be looking at, I'll be back on the table, but not before then. And so back to cash. So ETH, Solana, AKT, buying bits of them. All these paths I'm prepared for, right? But this is daily support until proven otherwise. If we lose that one, the $2 level is another support I'm buying. And then my absolute best hope, which I really, really want to get, is this old weekly breakout, 140. And then the 200-day moving average as well, which by then probably will be coming up to around 160, 150 at some point in the next few weeks. So there are the areas I want to buy. You say, why don't you just wait for the 200-day? Because price doesn't come to the 200-day in a bull market quite often. If it gets there, you're very lucky. It doesn't mean you wait for it to get there. You buy wherever you're comfortable buying. This is the first time I've bought since here, 55 cents. So I've watched all this. I've allowed all this to happen. I've sat through the 70% decline, the 50% dips, and now I'm ready to buy. Because I think we go over here. We go well above $9, $10 this year, next year, whenever it is. And what is the point of doing this? We have a weekly uptrend, we have a monthly uptrend, we have a daily. We're in uptrend on all time frames, right? So you're buying an uptrend in a bull market, but you're not buying the top. You're buying after a 30% correction, and then a 40%, and then a 50% if it happens. That's the only approach that is proven to be successful in a bull market. And so you can take it from me or you can ignore me. You can do whatever you want. But the only approach that consistently works in a bull market is not to try and time it, not for spot holdings, right? It's to not buy the top. Wait for significant correction. Buy when it doesn't feel good. Buy when people are negative and pessimistic. Buy when people are telling you it's going lower. And then just wait. So, if you've been waiting patiently, why are you still waiting? If you listened to me in December and didn't FOMO in at the top, now's the time. You don't have to put all your money in, but you should be making money anyway, right? I could put every single penny I have in today and have more money next week and more money next month. Cash flow still needs to be coming, right? That's what we preach that you should be focusing on. Because if you're lucky enough, and I mean this, if we are lucky enough to see this, to see a cash go to 150, oh my God, what a gift. And then go sideways for 6 months. What a gift. Can you imagine being able to dollar cost average another 6 months into AKT below $2? That would just be an absolute gift. Because to me, nothing has changed. AI is still the biggest bubble that's ever existed and it's just starting to form. This move up was not driven by euphoric, scammy speculation. In fact, AKT still slept on. This was accumulation on the way up. It's such an illiquid coin that any buying pushed it up. Like, people are accumulating. Now it runs back. Higher low will form at some point. We will go higher. I will look back and say, yes, that was the right time to start buying. It's like, if you don't think we're in a bull market, fine. But if you think like me, we're in a bull market, this is the only way to do it. The only way. Nothing else makes sense. Let everyone else panic and shit themselves and sell their bags and give up and all this other stuff. Cool, let them panic. But they're never going to make it anyway. I swear people, they've never traded. They've never invested. Because every time it gets tough, they just quit. Like this. That was Chainlink, 2019 and 2020. Look at it. That's a 70% decline. Right? And several months, this whole thing was like 6 or 7 months of total shit in between. Even this big ripping rally, oh my god, it looks so good, doesn't it? Doesn't even take the highs. Then COVID crash all the way down. But look at what happened after. All of that. Like, this is just a blip. But that was 6 months. It wasn't. It was 9 months. Sorry. June until March. That was 9 months. And then there was this, not to mention. This wasn't exactly nothing. That was another 65%. And you have to remember that there's a lot of charts that look like this right now. Right? These parabolic moves. And they are going to come all the way back down. Say is one that I have in mind. Say is one that I've had my eye on for a while. Say is going to do that. I have fucking no doubt. Say is going to end up going down 60%. I'm confident of that, at least. Like, it's probably going to down a bit, complacency bounce, find its way down to there. Everyone's going to say, what a piece of shit. It's dead. And then away it goes. And suddenly, oh, it's not a piece of shit. It's amazing tech again. And it's just the same shit over and over again. Because human emotion never changes. The cycles, fear, greed. Just look at these parabolic moves. Parabolic moves cannot keep going up forever. They will break. And when they break, you see this kind of stuff here. And all it did was just come back to where it started. Right? The inefficient moves up. It retraced it. Then it reaccumulated, and away it goes. I actually need to show you this one as well. This is one I've been tracking, for say. Solana's first big move up looks a lot like say. Right, if I get this, this is just... There's no 200-day moving average yet for say. Here you go, you launch, you go sideways, you go up, 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 up. Solana does sort of a marginally higher high. Right, Solana kind of sweeps the highs. Say does more of a double top. Falling off now, falling off now. This is why I expect a bounce soon as well on the lower time frames, right? It's down only for 7 or 8 days. The whole market's probably going to have a panic event the next day or two. Then some kind of bounce. And then down it goes. But that's just totally normal. This is where the move started from, right? This is where and there's my alert that I said. Sol 2020, load up. Sol 2020. It's not going to look exactly the same, but a parabolic move, which is what this is, when you go from 10 cents to 90 cents in a matter of 4 weeks, that's 9x. That's parabolic. That's extreme outperformance, cannot be sustained. It's crazy to think it can be sustained. It's crazy. right? And so it needs to, those early traders who accumulated here are going to distribute here and they're going to sell it down and it's going to come down. And most importantly, it's going to get toxic. And this is the part here. Like, I'll finish with this because, I'm higher time frame, mega bullish, nothing changes. But this is like the best example of what we're probably going to see, on a lot of altcoins in the next few weeks. It's just this bleed, 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 bleed. This is September until November. Like, that's 2 months where it's just bleeding. Not tradable, not good to trade. You're going to get one good chance to long stuff like, say, because it's straight down, it's capitulation. Once that ends, there'll be some kind of corrective bounce. But after that, the bounces get weaker, and then you go into that bleed phase. There's no longs here. There's no point, right? There's very little that you want to actually be trading here. You just want to let it settle itself down, sort itself out, wait for some kind of bottom to form. But that's where if you're buying your spot bags, buy your spot bags, right? Load up on them. Something like, say, will go down 60%, but something like Solana, being a cycle ahead, probably go down 40%, 50% at the most. Something like Ethereum, you wouldn't expect it to go to much more than 30%. Maybe 35 if Bitcoin goes down 30, right? It's the scale of risk. People will hold their Solana and they will buy more Solana. They will buy more Ethereum. They will buy more Bitcoin. They will swap back into Ethereum. Like, people are not necessarily going to be saying, oh, I must load up on Say here after it's done a 10x, right? Because Say is like the new, unproven, risky shitcoin. So that's it. GM. Summarize. Buy spot. If your plan was to buy, why are you not buying? Understand time, right? We can go down lower. I'm sure we will. There can probably be sideways. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure it will feel worse. I'm sure sentiment will get more toxic. I don't care. I literally sit around all day trading, studying the markets for these type of days. How do you think rich people make money? Do you think that rich people make money by buying when it feels excellent and there's green candles and they feel amazing and the market's just looking great? No. They buy when it looks like shit. They have patience and then they sell when it looks amazing. Simple. So that's what I'll do. GM.